I have previously shown how you can use HID remapper to add drag lock to any mouse or trackball, but that solution used a second button to activate drag lock, either as a dedicated drag lock button or as a modifier to the primary button. But what if your mouse only has one button? Or what if you just want to use the other buttons for other things? Let me show you how you can use HID remapper to add the drag lock behavior to a button on your mouse without using any additional buttons. As a reminder, HID remapper is a universal adapter for USB input devices. Instead of plugging a mouse or a keyboard into your computer directly, you plug it through HID remapper, and it can alter the behavior of the device in various ways. And the drag lock is when you want to drag something with your mouse, but don't want to hold the mouse button the whole time. So you perform some action to activate drag lock. Then it's as if the button is pressed, but you don't have to physically press it yourself. You do the dragging or whatever it is that you want to do. And then you perform some action to deactivate drag lock, and the button is not pressed anymore. Since we're only using one button for this, we will make it so that when the button is clicked, it works as normal, but when it's long pressed, it activates drag lock. I'll show you two options. Option 1 is nice because it's very simple to configure, but it will require a long press to activate drag lock and a long press to deactivate it. With option 2, drag lock will be activated the same way by long pressing the button, but to deactivate it, we will be able to use any click, long or short. But the configuration will be a little more complex. Okay, option 1. This is HID remapper's configuration interface. It's just a website you go to in your browser. You don't have to install any software on your computer. We will create two mappings. One will be responsible for a short click working normally as a short click. In our case, input will be the same as output. But of course, this is HID remapper, so we could make the right button work as the left button or do any other remapping we wanted. The important part here is that we will set this flag, the tap flag. This means that this mapping will work for short clicks. Okay, and a second mapping will be responsible for activating drag lock when we long press the button. Again, the input and the output will just be the left button. And the magic happens here. We will activate the hold flag and the sticky flag. The hold flag means that this mapping works for long presses of the button. And the sticky flag means that it will be a toggle. The same action will be used to activate the mapping and to deactivate it. In our case, it means that long pressing the button will make the button remain pressed until we long press it again. And that's all it takes. Let's save this configuration to our HID remapper. Open device, connect, save to device, and let's see if it works. Normal clicks work as expected, and long press toggles drag lock. I'm not holding the button, but it behaves as if I did. To end drag lock, I long press again. You might ask, what is a long press and what is a short press? Great question, and it is of course configurable. By default, the threshold is 200 milliseconds, so a fifth of a second, but you can change it to whatever you like. Okay, as you can see, the configuration for this was very simple, but there is one issue. One could reasonably expect that when drag lock is active, a short press of the button would also deactivate it. And that's option 2. I'm going to cheat a little and load a prepared configuration from the Examples tab. The nice thing about it is that you can do the same. You don't have to listen to me explaining how this works and try to recreate it. You can just load it from here. And by the way, there's a lot more examples here that you can check out to see how some things can be done with HID remapper. Okay, let's load it. Save it to our HID remapper. Let's test it. I activate drag lock by long pressing as before. But now I can deactivate it by just clicking. I don't have to long press, which is a bit more intuitive. Okay, let's quickly go through the configuration. The first mapping just makes the left button work normally when clicked or short pressed. The second mapping is responsible for activating and deactivating drag lock. You can see that we are not using any flags on these mappings. Instead, the second one has register 1 as its input. We will see what setting that register in a second. The third mapping is just a workaround for a certain implementation detail. It's a mapping that does nothing because it has nothing set as its output, but since it has the hold flag set, this makes HID remapper keep track of whether the left button was long pressed or not. Okay, what about the register? It is set by an expression. Expressions are little programs with a syntax that's a bit weird. I will just say which part does what, and if you want to know more about the syntax, check out the documentation. If things seem a bit backward, it's because the expressions use what's called the reverse Polish notation. These expressions use two registers, which are like variables. In register 1, we keep the drag lock state. If register 1 is set to 1, it means drag lock is active. If it's set to 0, it means it's not active. Let's go over this. This fetches the current value from register 1. This part is responsible for activating drag lock. First, it fetches the value from register 2, which is set in expression 2. It's set to the hold state of the button. If the button is currently being long pressed, the value will be 1. And if it's not currently being long pressed, either because it's not pressed at all, or because not enough time has passed since it started being pressed, then the value will be 0. The reason we're using a second expression for this is we want the hold state from the previous frame. We want to detect a situation where the button was long pressed, but it's just being released. This is what this line does. It fetches the current state of the button and negates it. Then it multiplies the two values, effectively performing a logical AND on them. The result is 1 if we have just released the button after long pressing it. Then we do a logical OR with the previous value of register 1. This means that if drag lock was previously active, it will stay active. And if it wasn't, but we have just released the button after long pressing it, then it will become active. Okay, and this part is responsible for deactivating drag lock. The situation we want to detect is, again, if we have just released the button, but additionally, we want to check if drag lock was active. If drag lock was active and we have just released the button after either long pressing it or short pressing it, we want to deactivate drag lock. This part fetches the current value of register 1, which is the current drag lock state. This part checks if the button was pressed in the previous frame. This part checks if it's currently not pressed. The multiplications perform a logical AND of these three conditions. Then we negate the result and multiply it by the value from the previous calculation, meaning that if all three conditions are true, we will deactivate drag lock. Finally, we store the result in register 1, both for use in the mapping in this frame and for the next time the expression is evaluated. Okay, I'm not sure if this made any sense, but if it sounds like something you would maybe want to do, then check out the project's GitHub repository where there's some more information about the expressions and what you can do with HID remapper in general. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thanks for watching.